Pregnancy, labor, and delivery do not always go according to plan. Whether there is a breech baby, a C-section, latching issues, it can all be really difficult and it can cause a lot of trauma. If this has been your experience in any way, today's story is for you. Dr. Nicole shares the impact of birth on the nervous system, both for mothers and babies, and shares some beautiful ways to support that, to help that, and to do it as part of a holistic team. I'm Jenna Quinton, founder of Adjust Your Media, host of What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate. There are a lot of resources for you in the show notes to learn more and to explore, but I can't wait for you to share this episode. Today on What Chiropractic Doesn't Cure, Stories of Innate, I have Dr. Nicole Townsley, and I'm excited because she has some special things, including she's a fourth-generation chiropractor. So welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your practice. Where are you and what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm in South Florida and I practice with my dad. He's still working with me, semi-retired. He works on Saturday afternoons, but I'm there 3 days a week. And I focus on prenatal and pediatrics. I really, really love the pediatric side of chiropractic. So yeah, I've been doing it for 13, 14 years now and I just absolutely love it. 4 generations later, we're just keeping it going.
I love that. And especially we're going to dig into pediatric care since you love doing that. So tell us a story. Whose life has improved with chiropractic care that you want to tell us about?
Absolutely. So this is a pediatric patient, actually starting with mom when she was pregnant, which is a very kind of typical story in my office. So it happened like really early in my career. So it was really meaningful for me, but it was very common. So patient was getting adjusted before she got pregnant, then throughout her pregnancy was very healthy, very active, continued getting adjusted for alignment and health and wellness and all that good stuff. And baby was good, everything was good. Towards the end of the pregnancy, though, baby was breech and not head down, he was butt down, or she was butt down. So we were working with mom and baby on getting the baby to turn, working on the Webster Technique, which I'm certified in, and working with her pretty regularly, especially towards the end, because we wanted to get baby to flip so she could have a natural delivery. So about 36 weeks, we upped the adjustments. We were doing Webster's twice a week. Then 38 weeks, we had an ultrasound and confirmed that baby had flipped at 37 weeks, which is usually very rare to get a late stage flip like that. But because mom was being adjusted throughout her pregnancy, she was relatively balanced, but then baby was in a poor position. So we had to work a little bit more to get baby in the right position. So good to go. She was head down, ready for delivery. Everything's good. Started labor. Unfortunately, had a little prodromal labor. Stopping, starting, intermittent, strong contractions, and then it kind of stopped for a couple of days. So we were in communication about all of that. She'd gone to the OB. Nope, you're not in labor. You're not dilating yet. Go back home and rest. So we adjusted her another couple of times in that process. She finally went into active labor, was laboring for a while, but got kind of stuck in the end. Ended up with an emergency C-section, unfortunately, which it happens, but not what we're hoping for, especially after all that work we did to get baby in proper position. So it happens. You know, everybody was good. She was settling in. Baby was good. Healthy, happy mamas and babies. That's what we want, whatever that means. So she was good. She was settling in. And unfortunately, when the babies don't go through the birth canal, the primary reflexes do not get stimulated as strongly as when they go through the normal birth process. So being a C-section baby was struggling with breastfeeding. So first hours of birth, you know, you're settling in, you're getting to know your baby, you're connecting, you're doing all that bonding, and they were having trouble. They were not bonding well. The baby was not latching well and really kind of struggling with those first steps, those primary connections. So she called me, you know, we got in contact, and thankfully we got baby adjusted very quickly. And one adjustment, within hours of birth, within the first 24 hours, she was feeding on one side but could not feed on the other. And one adjustment immediately changed the baby's ability to feed. Went from not being able to breastfeed, having major troubles, to easily latching and never having a problem with breastfeeding from that first adjustment. Now, she didn't get adjusted. If the baby didn't get adjusted, then mama and baby would have struggled. Because first-time moms, you don't know what you're doing. It's a guesswork. There's a lot of like, I don't know. So they would have struggled and they would have had trouble with feeding, which is kind of important with newborns. So this was something that really impacted me really early in my career, that like, hey, what we do is not just about back pain. It's not just about cracking. It's about connecting the brain and the body so that it can function and literally function to feed, which is a pretty important thing to do with newborns. So it was a really, really cool story for me. Honestly, the biggest part of it is it's my story. It's my baby and it's me when I was pregnant and my child. And so that's my story that I get to share with my patients, but it's very common. It happens all of the time.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you for sharing that, especially since it is such a precious story to you. There's so many things that I want to go back over for parents to understand. So, Webster Technique, tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
sure. So the Webster Technique is a body balancing technique. It uses chiropractic adjustments to balance the mama's body so that baby can get in best position for a labor and delivery.
Okay.
So it's a very simple technique, but chiropractors are trained specifically in that technique to be able to help move the pelvis usually around so that the baby can get the proper position.
Yeah. There was somebody one time who told me, think about like when you're in bed and the sheets are really tucked in tight and you can't roll around and you can't move. And then picturing if those sheets are stretched out and smooth and untucked.
Exactly.
I'm a starfish, so I need space and I can't have sheets tucked in. No, thank you. So it's that idea of a baby only having so much space to play in
Exactly.
if the mom's pelvis is restricted in these ways. That is so amazing. I love this idea too of a birth team and having a chiropractor on your team as part of your pregnancy, as part of your postpartum, that this is somebody who we should add in to the mix.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because whatever kind of birth you're wanting to plan, like you said, that brain-body connection is strong, alignment is good. It was revelatory for me to see the model of a pelvis and to see like if you twist it and that inlet or that outlet are not as big open as they could be.
Correct.
That's important.
Very
I love
much so.
too what you're saying about the trickle down effect,
Yes.
because when one thing starts off, then it affects other things. So you're talking about latching and bonding. And yes, if that is not addressed quickly, then that's where, even in personal experience, where it's like, okay, then you're anxious because the baby is not gaining weight.
Yep.
And then
what happens?
And then what happens?
Stress. The baby feels the stress. The baby has trouble latching because the baby feels your stress. So now the baby's stressed and you're stressed, and then the baby's stressed and you're stressed, and the baby's stressed and you're stressed, and you just feed off of each other, and nothing really helps. Nothing really changes until we get that support team, like you said. I work with doulas, I work with lactation consultants so that we can all work together to help both mama and baby, because they are two separate individuals but working off of each other. They're co-regulating, especially in that first year of life. They are one nervous system in two different bodies. So they're constantly interacting with each other. So the more that we can support mom, the more that we can help mom relax and get proper nervous regulation, the better the baby will be, which then makes mom better, which then makes baby better, which then makes mom better, and then makes dad better and the family better and everybody else around them, because it's not just the mom and the baby, it's a unit. And that expands and expands. And you mentioned the trickle down effect. A lot of times in pediatrics, we see it that, they'll grow out of it, or it's not that big a deal. I don't see that as much anymore. We're seeing kids grow into it and adapt around it rather than really grow out of it. They're adapting around it. So with this particular, my son, if we would have not had him adjusted, we would have had latch issue, right? So we would have had a struggle with breastfeeding, which then would have created anxiety and stress within me, which would have created some issue with him gaining weight, which then would have created some breastfeeding issues. Now I have to supplement. Okay, so now am I pumping and supplementing? So now I'm having supply issues. So now I'm pumping and supplementing and formula. So now I'm doing triple feeding, which is even more stressful. I'm getting up in the middle of the night and then dad has to come in, and you see how this very quickly snowballs into a bigger problem than just a latch or this and that.
Yes. So you mentioned with C-section that a baby isn't going through some of the processes. What are some of the things that really indicate to you, like, is talking about the birth story something you do with new patients? And what are you seeing in babies that have had a C-section, and how can you help?
So a lot of times the C-sections, because the babies weren't physically pushed through the birth canal, their nervous system was not stimulated in the same way. So we have to stimulate their nervous system in a kind of greater way. So we have to manually trigger some of those primary reflexes, some of those initial brainstem type of systems through adjustments, but also through some at-home kind of manual therapy working with the babies. So mamas will notice sleep issues. Number one, sleep issues, and then feeding issues. So having trouble latching, having trouble staying on the breast, having trouble emptying the breast, then spit up, indigestion, both ends, constipation, diarrhea, all of that kind of stuff starts to happen. Those are indications that the nervous system is not functioning properly and that you're not regulating. So very, very common, but very important.
Yeah. Well, then I'm thinking too of kids that are a little bit older than when you start having them in preschool and just starting in elementary school. And I love that you're talking about a team aspect. So how is this different when somebody is like, well, we're thinking about occupational therapy for some of these issues our preschooler is having. Do we need occupational therapy, speech therapy, or do we need chiropractic? What would you tell them?
Yes.
There you go.
Usually, yes. But with older kids, the adapting, growing out of it, growing into it becomes a little bit more of a problem. So we get to preschool and now they're having trouble socializing. They're having trouble sitting still. They're having trouble learning and kind of learning the alphabet. The numbers, those kind of learning delays start to show up. So as a chiropractor, we can do the adjustments and correct the nervous system. But with those older kids, we need a team to do that occupational therapy, to do that physical therapy that we don't have the time and energy to do in the office necessarily, but they can do at home or with this other specialist. So it becomes a team that works at the patient's convenience, which is what's the most important part here. The team is what's best for the patient. If I was the only one doing everything, I have to make you come to me at my schedule and my convenience and my time. But if we have multiple people that are helping, we can all kind of come to you and do what's best for you and your family, which I think is much, much more successful.
Well, and it's so, I think, reassuring. Even how you're talking about it, it just sounds like as a mom, you could relax into it. That you're not saying, oh, you need to be here 3 times a week for 3 months. And like, it feels like where it's like, oh yes, you're going to meet these families where they're at and say, let's see how we can help. Let's see how we can support you. I think that there is so often as moms, we have guilt isn't even the right word, but especially when a labor and delivery does not go quite how we planned, there can be a lot of shame around that too. So for postpartum moms, how are you taking care of them and what's important there?
Whatever happened, happened. Happy, healthy, happy baby. That's what I always say. Now, I did not want a C-section. That is not my birth plan. I am a holistic practitioner and I had a hospital C-section birth. That was not ideal. And I'm not gonna lie, I had some shame and guilt around it. However, it's what was best for me and my baby at the time. And that's the most important thing. So you're exactly right. I want to meet mamas where they're at and not shame them for whatever happened. This is what it is. This is what we can do to support it moving forward. Looking back is not helping. We want to move forward from here. But let's not discount the fact that this is important. What we're doing is very significant for mamas and babies, but we can relax in it. It's significant and important, but we don't have to be anxious over it. We can take what it is, where we're at today, and move forward with it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that something that I have found, I've been adjusted, I think it's been like 11 or 12 years that I've been under care. And something that I've really realized is talking about things can be very helpful. And sometimes it's, especially with birth, it's in our bodies. It's where we can be physically stuck in it. And so when you're talking about taking care of a mother's nervous system, you're also talking about like helping her to unwind those experiences.
Absolutely.
Without having to relive them.
Exactly. We don't need
we don't. Like even when I think about my youngest, I had a great labor, a great delivery, but it was hard.
Sure.
It was hard. I thought a fourth baby, aren't they just supposed to like you push and they're just born? Like one push, like, no, apparently. So like I have the journal where I had journaled my postpartum thoughts.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I need to go back and relive that and reread everything? Maybe, maybe not.
Sure.
But when in my nervous system, in my body, I think I've heard from different people, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this, about how women really hold a lot of stress, especially in our low back, in our pelvis. So especially if we've had a stressful traumatic birth, or it was long, it was hard, it didn't go how we wanted, or it was fast and sudden and unexpected and we weren't ready.
Yeah. Either way can produce a result.
Either way can produce that result. The fact that you're taking care of the nervous system so this mom can help to find where it's stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a really important part, that it's deeper within her, that she can even really access it at times. So a lot of times, you know, the mama's bringing the babies and they're like, fix the baby, fix the baby, fix the baby. And I'm like, Mama, how are you? And they will literally cry. Just like, oh, wait, nobody's asked me how I am in the last 6 weeks. I'm not okay. And I'm like, okay, give me a hug. Let's hug it out. And the touch, the physical touch is so, so important. I hug every single patient after each adjustment. And actually yesterday was National Hug Day, and I saw over 100 people that I got to hug. So I had over 200 adjustments yesterday, which was so, 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 so cool. But that physical touch makes such a difference, especially for postpartum mamas. You're healing, you're changing. There's so much stuff that's going on through the nervous system. And just to be able to subconsciously release some of that and just let the body, the nervous system, everything just relax a little bit is so, so helpful and so beneficial for mama and baby.
Yes. Well, and you talked about one nervous system in two bodies and that co-regulation. And I think that is such a beautiful thing. I have heard, like in Chinese medicine, there's this idea of a fourth trimester, and that for the 40 days after a baby is born, mother and baby are still treated as one unit.
Very much so.
Just like when the mom was pregnant, saying like this baby is still not as if there was still an umbilical cord attached, but they are, the emotional bond, the physical regulation is still there. So yes, of course, we see that baby and we're like, this baby comes first. But especially in those early days, to say, this is still us.
Yes. That first 40 days, that baby is a direct representation of mama. If baby's not doing good, it's because mama's not doing good. Baby is completely dependent for at least that first 40 days. Completely dependent on mama. There's nobody else but mom. They can try and give it to dad, and they can try, you know, and they can help out, but it's mom. They are just completely dependent on mom. So that fourth trimester is that separation of a baby from mom as the baby learns how to regulate its own nervous system, being in this physical plane, being in this world, and physically separating those two systems. But those first 40 days, they're completely dependent.
Yeah, which makes so much sense then when you're talking about checking the baby and making sure their nervous system is clear, that there's no irritation of those nerves so that they can learn to do that on their own. I remember my firstborn, the first time he was across the room from me, and I was like, I am not okay with this. Right? There's so much air.
It's weird. I don't know what this feels like.
Yes, and I think that maybe in the modern world, maybe it's a little bit Western culture, where there is this idea of like the baby is so clingy, or the baby is so dependent, needy, like this baby won't let me put him down. Or there's this idea of, well, we've got to bounce back. Babies need to learn that we aren't going to respond to their every cry. You know, the baby can't manipulate me, kind of an idea. And what you're talking about from a very physiological point of view is this nervous system's need to co-regulate.
Learn. They need to learn. You know, those babies are trying to figure out how to sleep, how to eat, how to poop properly without it hurting. And they learn it from us. So it's a process, but it's not an easy process. And as you know, 4 different babies, 4 different complete nervous systems in 4 different situations. You were in a different situation each time. So it's a learning curve every single time, but it's a process. And the more that we can understand that it's a process and encourage and support that process without expectation that it has to be this way this time, the easier it is for everybody, really.
Yes, that is interesting that you mentioned that, because my third born, Alex, is turning 10, and Like, even when I was pregnant with him, I was like, this is a strong person. His kicks felt intentional and not in a harsh way or an aggressive way. And I had been a vegetarian for years. That pregnancy, I craved red meat. And anytime I smelled whiskey, which I had never drank whiskey, I smelled it and I was like, that smells good. And my husband's like, you never drink whiskey. What is up with you? And I was like, I think I'm going to have a boy. We didn't know. I was like, I think I'm going to have a boy. And this is a man.
Yep.
And boy, that kid came out. He was 2 years old and we're shopping for shoes at Walmart. And he wanted work boots. Yeah. And he put on his man boots.
I love that.
Yeah. So even as I'm thinking about that, him as a newborn. Yeah. So I knew these things about him. I knew that we tried to think of other names and he wanted to be Alex. I was like, there's no other name. It's his older brother's middle name, for crying out loud. I was like, we only have, like, we can't use his brother's middle name. And he demanded to be called Alex, but he's 3 days old. He's Alex. Alex the Defender. Alex, conqueror of the world.
That's great. Oh, I love that.
So he's this strong person is 3 days old and he is crying and I'm looking at him and I have no idea what to do. Yeah. And he's a 3-day-old. I have no idea what to do. What? My husband said, I'm going to hold the baby. I was like, I don't think you understand. I cannot, like, this is my baby. And he said, let me hold the baby. And he snuggled him up in his chest, and he went downstairs and watched. It was the middle of the night too, and he went downstairs and watched TV. And I slept for like maybe 5 or 6 hours,
which is an eternity with a newborn.
Which is an eternity. And I woke up, and my milk had come in. Yay! And and that even in that situation where he could co-regulate with my husband's nervous system. Mm-hmm. And have that moment. Yeah. And then it was like, okay, I'm back.
Yep.
I know what to do.
Yep.
I can feed him. We can do this. But just the beauty of, understanding from a nervous system point of view, our needs, their needs, and how we can work together. And, this whole time you've been talking about having a team and working together and things where whoever it might be, whether it is a grandma or an aunt or somebody who can say, it's just for a couple of hours. It's just for a couple of hours. So important. Just this softer, gentler approach to mothering and taking care of mother and baby in this world.
Absolutely. Can I tell a quick little story about my mama?
Absolutely. Go for it.
So my kid had a little bike accident on the way home from school 2 days ago. Hit a car. So my mom was freaking out, right? And I had to go to work. And I'm like, how do I be a mom and go and serve these babies? So I called my mom. And I said, Mom, I need help. I need a mom that can mom my baby. My baby needs momming. So I thankfully my mother lives close. So she was like, I'm here. I'll come get him, picked him up, took care of him. But because I still have my mom and she's so close and we were available, I was able to give my baby to my mom and let her mother my baby in the way that I would have. And then I was able to fully focus and serve and be in the practice and go through hug day and hug all these people and be present because of that. But my mom's heart hurt in the morning. I'm like, how can I go to work right now and leave my baby? I need help. Okay, Mom.
And I think that this is what we mean when we say it takes a village. Clear, connected people who are connected to themselves, connected to each other, where then we can do this. Because yes, life stressors keep happening. Like, oh my goodness, on a bike accident? No, thank you.
Coming home from school, it's like fire and rescue called me. I was like, okay. Whew.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad that he's okay, and he wasn't majorly hurt in any way.
No, thank goodness.
Okay.
Thank
goodness. Well, good. Well, I love everything that you've shared, and I'm going to put in the show notes where people can find you, where they can connect with you, and I'm going to put some more information about how to find a Webster certified chiropractor in your area, because Dr. Nicole and I would be happy to talk to anybody, help anybody who reaches out, but just for people to know that you can find support and help. And I love too that you said, even before you were pregnant, that you were getting adjusted. And that's something also for folks to understand, that when both parents are clear and connected and their nervous system is functioning optimally, even before you have a baby, it's just a really beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So absolutely go and check out the show notes, and we will talk to you next time.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.